Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're excited to have you. Sorry for the few minutes of delay. We had a few technical issues, but we're off and running now. So really excited to go through what we're going to talk about tonight. I'm Nicole Clements from Opportunity International Australia, and we are super excited to have you. Thanks again for coming to Transform Her. This event is for women and men invested in women's economic empowerment globally, and everyone is welcome. At Opportunity International Australia last year, we were instrumental in impacting the lives of 6.6 million families with small loans, almost 1 million families supported by health leaders, and 325,000 in Asia that access school loans. We sincerely believe that women can and do change the world for good, and that's why we are running this beautiful event series. So bringing purpose, passion, and power on women's empowerment and entrepreneurship globally. So thanks for being part of the community and keep joining. The events are recorded. If you register and you can't make it, we have great speakers and purpose-driven content. So great to have you as part of our community. I'd like to thank our generous speaker tonight, Alana Nicholls from Pro Purpose. With her team, she continues to inspire us at Opportunity each and every day. And we also like to thank those that support our work through Pro Purpose. And many of them are part of the rich conversation tonight. You'll see them. So we'll kick off in a minute. I first wanted to do an acknowledgement of country. So we acknowledge the traditional owners of all the lands on which we meet tonight. In Sydney, it's the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters, and we pay our respects to their elders past and present. As a former ABC journalist, I get the enormous privilege of working at Opportunity and serving the women and families with my team and writing great stories and telling their stories of courage, impact and change. So tonight it's really a supporter-driven story, and it's a story of opportunity. It's a story of purpose. We're going to go deep. Alana's going to share in a minute how profit and purpose can go together and how to embed your purpose into your life and your business or your job. Pro Purpose, just so you know, is a key Opportunity International supporter, and we are one of their key charity partners. So Alana, in just a minute or so, is going to give some mini masterclass tips that she shares with her partners. And I attended the Pro Purpose conference last week and the Grace Lane of Women's event, and it was absolutely fantastic. So before we dive in, we're just going to hear from wonderful, incredible people who are part of the Pro Purpose community.
Purpose is about our reason for being. It's our why. Like often young children will be asking, but why? But why? And I think even as we grow older, as we unlock and uncover what that is, there's this greater sense of fulfillment and purpose. And I remember hearing this quote around when the why is big enough, the how becomes easy.
We all have an opportunity to implement purpose in our life, and especially in business, I think it is just a vehicle to do good.
Businesses are attracted to purpose because it gives them meaning for why they do what they do.
Purpose means intentionality. If you have a strong and compelling purpose that's outside of yourself, it helps you do things even when things are rough and hard.
When I think about the term purpose, what I think about is meaning. Something I would always ask myself, like from when I was 18 to 28, is what is the meaning of my life? You know, probably everyone's asking that question. What they're really asking is purpose and calling as well.
We never set out deliberately to include purpose. We started with purpose. From the start, we had always intended on helping people. It just has this flow-on effect, doesn't it? So by us doing something small, it flows through massively. And
almost that pay it forward.
100%.
Purpose becomes your passion. It helps to fuel passion, because like just having a goal or just wanting to do something isn't enough. You need to have something behind it.
I think when you're clear what your purpose is, you have this sense that anything is possible.
So what a wonderful set of people that were in that video, and Thea from Joyful Finance is going to join us tonight. All I can say is that just in recent weeks, I think I have never realised how important purpose is to people in their life. I think purpose through through a few of my own life circumstances. I've just really believed that purpose is life-changing and it's so precious. So I just hope tonight connects with you from a heart level in identifying your purpose. Okay, Alana, we're ready for you. Tell us about yourself and your journey to creating Pro Purpose, formerly known as OneCo.
Yeah, well, my husband and I have been in business for about to be 23 years. We started at a really young age, 17 and 20. No, that's when we started dating. So 19 and 22 started business. Really simple beginnings. My husband was a tradie, electrician in a van. I was studying at business college at the time, and he said, I think I'm going to start my own business. And I said to him, I learned MYOB at college last week. Let's have a crack. And that's literally how we started. And it grew very quickly. Within 5 years, we had over 30 staff. My husband was fully out of the day-to-day of business, and then we started to franchise our business. And that was an idea of how we could expand across Australia. And for my husband and I, we had always had a heart to have impact with our business. And as our business grew, we wanted to have more charitable impact, more social impact. But we were franchising and thought, well, what does that look like when you've invited other businesses into the brand and into our business? And so this very simple idea in 2012, which was one van, one child. We were tradies in vans, and I had an idea, well, what if I could inspire all of the franchisees? If they had 2 vans in their business, if they had 5, if they had 10, why not sponsor a child? And so that idea really took off. And over a 9-year period, we had over
I'm presenting an
200
event.
children
I've got to get out of here.
sponsored, and we'd raised over $1 million in child sponsorship and projects, water wells, toilet blocks, startup loans, a whole bunch of things. And so our origin story for Pro Purpose actually happened within our own business network, within our own business owners and franchisees in our business. But in 2012, when I originally launched the idea, there was a bus company in Sydney that reached out to us via our charity partner of World Vision, and they said, we love this idea. We'd like to be one bus, one child. So even back then in 2012, I had this sense that what we were doing was never just going to be about our business, but we would help other businesses do the same. But that idea sat on the shelf for 8, 9 years, almost a decade actually. And then 3 years ago, we thought, okay, it's time to now help other businesses, and started building other projects in Australia, more projects overseas. That's when our partnership with Opportunity started. So we would have a variety of projects where businesses could come and connect their business purpose to charitable impact. So yeah, that's a bit of the story of how Pro Purpose has come about.
So wonderful. My beautiful mother decided to come into the bedroom just
Love that.
apologies for that. She has a little dementia, so I told her before, but now she's forgotten.
Oh, bless.
So your husband's name is Josh.
Yes.
And I've met him, and he's very inspiring as well. Briefly, Alana, tell us why you've partnered with Opportunity, and why is working and, for an agency that supports small businesses and women with small loans and startup loans. Why is that so good from an impact perspective for you?
Yeah, well, I think for us, it was a very logical choice because we're in the business of connecting businesses to charitable impact. And for so many business owners, it's just so easy to relate to the fact that we all have our story of our own startup journey. And so if as business leaders, we can pay it forward and equip and empower other people that are in areas of disadvantage or poverty, for them to start their own business as their pathway out of poverty. There's just this real heart connection. It's really easy to engage and inspire businesses to do that. And from the practical part of it, of startup loans, I've seen the power of it on the field, to equip people with something to start a desire that they have in their heart, or, sometimes everyone just needs a start. Even for our own story with Platinum as a trades business, starting at, 20 and 23, my husband needed a loan from his parents, and they said, all right, well, we'll give you $15,000 to start. And then, within time, he was able to pay that back and keep going. And I think many Australian businesses have the same story here in Australia, where someone just gave them a start, to start their business. And so it's just so beautiful to do that. And I believe when it comes to creating lasting impact, lasting generational change, the best way to do it is not a handout, but a hand up to equip and empower people, because it places value and dignity on people that perhaps have just been born or found in situations or in countries or even within Australia where, often we don't choose the environment we've been born into or the circumstance or the families, but we all have this desire to make something of our life. We have dreams in our hearts, and if we can just help equip others to do that, it's the best. It's an absolute joy.
It's so beautiful. And a very dear friend of mine, she always says it's the we do it together, not the I. And I think that pro-purpose really epitomizes that in my view. Can you give us an introduction to what pro-purpose is all about, and how you work with businesses a bit?
Yeah, so basically, we really found a untapped market in the sense that there's a lot of business owners, particularly in the small to medium businesses, who have a desire to have impact, that want to connect their business somehow to doing good, people will say, or giving back. But there's a desire to connect to something more meaningful. They have a realization, business leaders, that we have the ability to create money and create profit, and it's not all for ourselves. We want to share and make a difference. But a lot of business owners are wearing all the hats: the marketing hat, the operations hat, the finance hat. And connecting to social impact strategically is often in the important quadrant, but it never gets to the urgent because everything else is taking attention. And so that's where Pro-Purpose was built. I know that for us, we were able to ignite an army of businesses within our brand that, in a short time had raised $1 million and activated intentional generosity embedded into their business, but left to themselves as, operators of 2 staff, 5 staff, 10 staff, 20, it just wouldn't have gotten off the ground. And so that's where we thought, all right, well, let's just multiply the impact. If our business could do this, imagine if tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. And so we started Pro-Purpose as a non-profit to purely just amplify and multiply the impact. And what we have learned over a decade of doing that, to fast track that for other businesses so they can embed generosity in and experience all the multifaceted benefits of being connected to purpose.
And I've seen customers as well respond when we were filming at Salon for Purpose the other day. And in Manly, it was really precious when we thought we were annoying one of the customers, and she came up and she said, "How can I donate to Opportunity? And I want to be part of this." So I think that's the exciting thing, isn't it? Like, I know I want to support businesses that are purposeful businesses as well. So moving on, this Saturday night, Alana, you're having a fantastic dinner. You're inviting 5 incredibly inspiring leaders.
Yep.
Who are they? They can be from anywhere in the world.
Okay, 5 inspiring leaders. Well, I'm in the world of purpose. From a lot of TED Talks I've listened to and reading parts of books, my husband and I have always felt like this guy is just on the same page as us, and that's Simon Sinek. So I think he'd be great. I'm hoping to start a podcast soon, a Profit for Purpose podcast. I actually want him to be one of our guests. So maybe we might be able to have a dinner literally, but he'd be on my list, Simon Sinek. I'm just really inspired by diversity amongst people, and my dinner, I'd love all different types, because I think that's where the magic happens. Not everyone believing or behaving the same way, but a real depth of diversity. Because I think when there's unity in diversity, that's cool. So I'd want the dinner to be a sense of unity, but very diverse. So Simon Sinek, I reckon I'd actually like to have, I'm really bad with politics. He's American president right now. Trump. I think I'd like him because he's just a guy that I would have a million questions. I feel I love asking people questions. So I would just be asking a million
He'd be
questions.
an interesting,
I'd have lots of questions.
Side act. Yeah.
I'd have him, number 2. Number 3, I would have my great grandmother who uh, was an immigrant that came from World War II from Estonia, took her two young children, left her husband so they could be safe. They came to Australia, and my mum has started writing books from journals that she had written. But, I think sometimes as you get older, you realize, oh, there's all the questions we didn't ask the couple of generations before. We wish we did. So I think she'd be great for number three. Number four, I'd invite my husband. He's really wise and he's great. And I think he just would be not, I just would want to share it with him. So I'd have him as number four. Number five, number five. I think I need to even it out. There needs to be another woman, doesn't there? So another, you know what? From a faith perspective, I have a faith, I believe in God. I think when you read the Bible and you hear about Mary, who was pregnant with Jesus, I'm like, that's a whole nother thing. So I reckon I'd like her at the table.
You're going to have
Imagine
a
Trump and
very
Mary
interesting dinner
together. That'd be
party.
so cool.
Donald Trump, I have to say, is a very controversial choice, but I respect that it's going to be a very dynamic event.
100%.
Yeah, with Mary and Donald Trump together. So
There's a meme. There must be a meme for that. But anyway.
and Grandma from Estonia, I would love to be a fly on the wall. So I just wanted to just ask a couple more questions before we deep dive into a mini masterclass. So, given there's so much division in our world today, I mean, we did see it a lot with the US elections, and there's wars in the world, and there's a lot going on. How can profit and purpose really go together to create a better world? I mean, is it realistic?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is realistic. And I think it comes down to, again, what I was just sharing there, even about around that table, about unity amongst diversity. Sometimes we think everyone has to think the same, behave the same before they belong, or and then sometimes that just gets that's more about conformity, not unity. And I think unity is where our families, our communities, our organizations, our countries, our globe is at its best, is when there's unity. And so yes, I do believe profit and purpose can come together and prosper together, but it is about learning from one another and how we can bring things together in partnership. Because sometimes people think purpose and profit are like clashing, but they're actually not. It's how they're actually beautiful parts of the tapestry of, community and ecosystems. But if we can bring it together, phenomenal things can happen.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the fact that, when you create your own business, and we see it with the beautiful entrepreneurs we work with, it sort of activates the creativity and the inspiration in all of us. So, so beautifully articulated, Alana. Thank you. Just finally, how can we make sense as well, given the cost of living crisis? Because it feels like there's never enough money to kind of go around. So there's a scarcity thinking around it. But what would you say?
Yeah, I think when it comes to stewarding resources, whether that's time, treasure, talent, sometimes our focus can right now go on the money side. But again, just remembering that generosity is in whatever resource we carry. And sometimes there's, especially with businesses, there's seasons of surplus and there's seasons of not. But I think purposeful living, generous living comes from a place of saying yes to generosity, but also just thinking about things from a place of abundance and provision, not lack and scarcity. And that often is a challenge because voices are loud. And so sometimes what happens when you're hearing from that voice of scarcity and lack, what comes out is fear. And often when we look at what's in our hands, sometimes we, instead of being conduits of provision and conduits of resource, it's that opposite of like, do we have that river concept with our life where what we receive we give, and it's like there's just this continual perpetual flow that happens, versus a dam approach. And as we know, like when it's becomes dammed, water gets stinky and it's just not life-giving. But sometimes that can be counterintuitive, counterculture, because we have this mindset sometimes, oh, well, I've got to keep just in case. And that's the language of fear. What if? Whenever we go about life and we hear, well, what if this and what if that? That's actually fear yelling at us. And so when it comes to resources, sometimes the language of fear would say, well, what if I don't have enough? But I've just seen time and time again, in my own life, in friends' life, in the businesses, within Pro Purpose, whenever people say yes to generosity, there's just this thing where there will always be enough. And yes, sometimes it's a faith over fear thing, because fear would say, oh, what if? But it's just tried and tested and true that if we're generous with wisdom, not being like haphazard, and that's why at Pro Purpose we talk about intentional generosity that is sustainable, and measured. But I think there is always room for all of us to be generous. And especially if we're from Australia, we are one of the most blessed nations in the world. Even if we are on incentives from the government, we're in the top 5% richest in the world. Like, that's a perspective shift that many of us need in Australia. So instead of maybe saying yes to consumerism, yes to I need this, that, and the other, maybe sometimes it is, well, my resources are this, but can I create margin in my life? Can I create margin in my finances, which allow there to be surplus for others? And I think if we live a life like that, in whatever resource that is, our time, because sometimes uh, we don't have margin in our time to even say hi to someone, to be generous with a smile. And so if we live a life of margin, and sometimes that does mean cutting back, but I think if we live that life margin, allow for others, our world as that, I remember reading a quote around the world of the stingy gets smaller and smaller, but the world of the generous gets larger and larger. And so if you want to live a large life, say yes to generosity, make the adjustments as necessary, and you'll have a flourishing, prosperous life.
I love that. I just love that. And it really aligns with Giving Tuesday that's coming up, which is about radical generosity. And I love the word radical and generosity together. So Alana, just over to you to drill in, like when you are at Pro Purpose, just tell us the mechanics of what you do and how it works and how you actually get that purpose out of the businesses that you're working with.
Yep, fantastic. So this is the masterclass part of tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. Great. I'm just trying to find my notes because I did have a technology issue. There we go. All right. So I'm going to share my screen if that's okay.
Yes.
Then you're just not looking at my face the whole time. Okay. Let me just share my screen.
Alana's just come off a whole week of events and she's an absolute maestro. So I'm not surprised there's a few.
Great. Are we on the, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Everyone says this when they hop on Zoom, don't they? Great.
Yes.
All right. Are we good?
Yes.
Great. Well, what I love about the world of purpose and uncovering our purpose and living a life that is on purpose is this melting pot of purpose and passion and relationship and connection that happens in this world. Here's a picture from our Grace Lane event last week. You can see the lovely Nicole sharing a story, and I asked for celebration stories from the field. This was an event that was open to the public. We had 141 women in the room. It was our inaugural event. I partnered with a friend, an Australian Olympian, Elka, who has an organisation called Queenhood. So Queenhood and Pro Purpose came together to inspire women of Australia. And the nature of what I do, I said, well, how about we just give 100% of our profits from the event to some of our Pro Purpose charity partners, which my friend Elka said, what a great idea. And so it was not a fundraising event. It was a come and enjoy, be inspired women. But the byproduct of this is sponsors are coming in and there'll be profit. And just from turning up, we'll create impact, which was wonderful. So here's Nicole sharing at that event, which was fantastic. Here's some of the opportunity women that came and attended that event. You can see the beautiful Darshi there smiling. And then we also had our Pro Purpose conference, and over the next couple of days, here's Darshi sharing about in our Purpose in Action section, which is hearing from all of the charity partners that all of our businesses within our Pro Purpose movement support. And so in my world, in the area of connecting business to charitable impact, the world I see is one where profit and purpose prosper together, like we were just sharing, Nicole. And, for today's masterclass, I thought, there may be some people in the room that are business leaders. There are some of you that may not be business leaders, but work within businesses and would love to see your businesses connect more strategically to impact, especially to startup loans with opportunity. But, some of you, so kind of like, the word profit, that's very much in the world that we're in, talking with businesses are in business to make a profit. But we believe in profit for purpose, and connecting, and sharing some of that profit for purpose. And so I was thinking about this on my walk in the last school holidays. I was walking in Port Macquarie. We have a holiday house there. And profit for purpose is this language that we keep talking about at Pro Purpose. But some people sometimes, I don't know, some people have a funny affiliation with the word profit. Some people are like, oh, doesn't make sense to me. But I thought to bring it back to another way of saying profit for purpose is actually, this word came to me, surplus for sharing. It's actually something that we can all really relate to, because that's all profit is. It's a business sells things, there's surplus left at the end, and that's for purpose. It's the same thing as surplus, and we might have a surplus of time, surplus of energy, a surplus of financial means, a surplus of experience. But purpose is literally about sharing. The thing that I have found over and over again, as I've sat with businesses, I've sat with leaders, sat with friends even, and helping them uncover their purpose. There's just something about humankind, which is literally that, and it's kind. There's something in every single person where they just have this desire to help others. And so some people try to overthink it and think, oh, is it something else? But to be honest, every single person you sit down with, it will be some way or rather about helping others and sharing. And so I saw this quote the other day from Picasso, and it was saying the meaning of life is to find your gift, but the purpose of life is to give it away. And again, this comes down to this profit for purpose or surplus for sharing. And sometimes I have found that the purpose word gets thrown around a lot, to the point that sometimes people think, I don't know what my purpose is, and they're feeling this anxiety or anxiousness that it needs to be this big, wonderful thing. And generally, just to simplify it, often I'll just ask people if they're feeling like, I don't know what my purpose is. And, there's people right now I know that my husband's been connecting with that are at the age where they're kind of out of retirement or sold their businesses, and they're starting to think, well, what do I do now? And they're really asking the purpose question. I sat with a gentleman the other week where he's, sold his businesses, needs nothing financially. He is set for life, but still is like, but what next? And really trying to search deep. And just to be honest, in some ways, I feel like getting a bit overwhelmed by it. And so my tip for him, and that my tip I have for you guys tonight is just two questions is, well, what are you good at? And what do you enjoy? And often you will find your purpose will be in amongst that. One of the things I love about purpose is that it's not in this sense of uncovering our purpose. Sometimes we all have different journeys to that place. But the thing which is awesome is that when you find it, you realize it's not hard to fulfill it because it naturally comes to you. That's why it's like, well, what are you good at and what do you enjoy?
Yeah.
And that's what I would say to people sometimes when they're trying to sort of uncover what their purpose is. And this is more talking on a personal level, but it will make sense to how we go through that process as well when we help business as well connect to their purpose. Because at the end of the day, businesses are just made up of people. And so you can't separate the two. We had at our conference last week, we had Tim Costello. He's on the board of Pro Purpose. And I rang him today, but I missed him. But I'm like, who's your friend that said this quote? But I'm like, it's awesome. So I can't tell you who it was. But he was saying one of the ways one of his friends really clearly articulated purpose was around, it's where your happiest intersects the world's greatest needs. Because back to the other slide where it was like, well, what are you good at and what do you enjoy? It also needs to ensure that it's meeting what the some needs of the world. And I think that's just how we're wired and made as humans anyway, because if we were living a selfish life, it wouldn't feel purposeful. It starts to feel empty. And so you'll find that I'm good at it, I enjoy it, and that's obviously where your happiest is, but that intersecting with, what the world's greatest needs are. And sometimes it doesn't need to be the world's greatest need thinking on large scale. Sometimes what the world needs right now might be in your family and looking at, say, for instance, one of your children, and you can see, okay, well, their need for XYZ, I can see that my gifting can help fulfill that. And so sometimes when we're talking in organizations or talking, global impact, but it's always good, I believe, to like bring it back down to the everyday. Because sometimes people think, this is who I am, this is real me, and then this is work me. But there's no such thing. We're just all, it's like, it's me and how I turn up. And the only difference sometimes is in our professional spaces. Sometimes we're just putting on this success suit. You know that feeling where you're like putting your best foot forward and then you get home and then take that off because you're tired from it. You're like, oh my gosh, I was just like, had all, just trying to put my best foot forward, wearing a bit of a mask, and then you get home and then leave your worst behavior for your loved ones. So, but yeah, just kind of not separating the two of going, oh, work purpose and personal purpose are different. It's actually, you'll see there's a real synergy there. And so from my story, which I shared with what we had in our business, that was a moment of a deepening understanding of my purpose. I think for some of us, we just go about life, even when I was saying in the last slide around, well, what are you good at? Sometimes you don't realize that you're already equipped for what you're purposed for. And sometimes what you're good at, and I talked about it at our conference, at our event last week at Grace Lane, and asking women to consider, well, what's your Grace Lane? What are you good at? And sometimes you don't realize it's your gifting because it comes so easy and it's so natural. But if you ask your closest friends, they'd be able to pick it out and they're like, oh, we really see that your gifting and your grace to do X, Y, Z. And so, in uncovering your purpose, I believe it's always a continual thing. You never fully arrive. I just think more insight or more layers are being revealed of, why you're on the earth. And I think that's amazing because it keeps it exciting because we never feel like we've arrived. And so for me, part of that journey, some real things really cemented in 2015 when we went. At that point, we had 100 children sponsored. We were seeing what that looks like in community. And it was wonderful to see that and just to see what was happening in the lives of these business owners. This gentleman here was sponsoring this boy in the middle, Rainford, and he's showing him a picture of his boys at home and, just having that special connection there. This gentleman, John, he was actually on the video you guys just saw, actually, that we filmed. He still supports and he's now supporting startup loans. But when John went into this room where all his sponsored children were, this lady said via interpreter, "Who sponsors my child?" And the interpreter said, "Oh, this man," and she just wrapped her arms around him and was just so, so grateful. And this is Jeff. He was there and we were meeting his sponsored children, and their custom there in Zambia was, please, this is our gift to you, and gave him a chicken. And we thought as we hopped in the car, what do we do with this chicken?
Right.
But, it's...
chickens in my time.
Yeah. And so it's being generous. And that's the thing of generosity that's beautiful, is that it's a universal language. And you'll find, we were here to bless this community, but equally, as when you're in the space of generosity and purpose, is like there's this beautiful giving and receiving that happens. And so our receiving that day was a chicken, which was wonderful. But at this event at this moment in time on this field trip in 2015, I really saw, wow, I had just another opening into, this is what I'm on earth to do, is to help inspire and equip businesses to create lasting change and see that multiplying effect. And so for many of us, as we know, poverty and disadvantage exist within our world, but we all have the power to change that in whatever's in our hand. And for us at Pro Purpose, it's very specifically around business owners. And we really believe that generous businesses are a vital part of the solution. And if we can get together as a community, our collective impact can transform lives. There's a lot of studies that have been done around purpose, because it's just becoming more and more, business is becoming a lot more aware that there's something here about being connected to purpose, to the point that so many studies and research have been done. And so, some of these stats here around purposeful companies will financially outperform the market by 42%. Customers are 4 to 6 times more likely to champion companies that have a purpose beyond profit. A deeper purpose is the second most important factor that the younger generation, millennials and Gen Z, will be looking at when they're considering who they'd like to work for. Purpose-driven companies growing 3 times faster, and the fact that consumers will pay more for products if they know that the business is connected to positive social impact. And we've seen this be so true amongst all the businesses that have joined the pro-purpose movement. And so for businesses, when they're connecting to purpose, this Simon Sinek, one of the guys at the at my dinner party, he has this saying: people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And so as business owners, it might be a goods like a product or a service that you provide. But yes, you might do hairdressing like Salon Purpose, or yes, you might provide accounting like Joyful Finance, who's on here tonight and who'll be sharing. But at the end of the day, you grow a business by repeat and referral. And that comes back to the human element and the experience that consumers have with businesses. And so they'll connect with why you do what they do. If they know that you're a business that's for purpose, for making the world a better place, for creating positive social impact, for looking after your staff well, they'll like you, and they'll want to keep coming to you, and they'll want to tell all their friends to use your business. And so there's so many benefits when businesses become pro-purpose. Now, this is a slide from Pro Purpose, but replace Pro Purpose with, being a business that's for purpose. There are so many benefits to it. And, there's commercial benefits as well as the heart benefits. And so, influencing your customers, increasing your sales, profitability as you become that easy choice, like I just mentioned, where clients go, oh, we'll keep going back because we just love what they stand for as a business, or they'll tell their friends, referrals. Inspiring your team to be able to increase the productivity of your team and the retention of great people as you align your business goals to social impact. That's a game changer, because over time, sometimes your staff just get to a point where they're like, okay, let's hit this goal, let's hit this key performance indicator. But the question comes back, like we've all asked from children, but why? But why? Why do we want to grow by 20%? And so if a business can connect their business KPIs that are relative to social impact, it changes the dialogue of what you're talking about in your business. When you're hitting business financial goals, but you're making it less about focusing about that, but looking at, wow, we're up to this many startup loans this month. We had a goal for this, but look what we did. And for the year, we're up to this. That's inspirational for your team. And then finally, that increasing of your fulfillment, especially as business leaders, and that sense of satisfaction, motivation, that you're creating a legacy, as you lead and produce that meaningful change. And so some tips, if you're a business leader or someone that's in a business and you'd love to see your business be more intentional and connected to charitable impact, like the amazing work of Opportunity, here's the process that we take businesses through at Pro Purpose. And I wanted to share it with you so that if that was something that you would like to do for yourself, then you can have a bit of an idea of how to do that really well. But of course, you're more than welcome to connect with us at Pro Purpose as well. And we can help build a giving strategy for you that will support the work of Opportunity, like we do for many of our businesses. So first thing is building what we call a purpose pledge. So that is building a pledge. So this takes it away from a business doing ad hoc random donations, and also takes it away from all the organizations that are like, can you give to this? Can you give to that? And you're just like, no, this is our giving strategy. And then you build a pledge so that it is strategic, so it aligns with your purpose, but it's sustainable. And so often I will sit with businesses and they've got these grand, big ideas of like, oh, I would love to do this. And I'll always say, start small, build it into your business so it becomes business as usual. And then over time, you can see it grow, and you'll look back in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years and think, oh my goodness, look what we've done. Whereas if you leave it to ad hoc random, you won't. It'll just be, yeah, it just doesn't work as well. And we've seen that testament over and over again with all the businesses that have built pledges. Tracking your impact is the next thing, which is great because you've made a commitment, and then now you track it. And so working with trusted charity partners where you can see the tangible impact, that it's ethical, that it is creating transformation, and you can track it to see, wow, we're up to X amount of startup loans, for instance. Which, when you're tracking it, it helps you to inspire your team, helps you see how you're doing your goals, and then you can share that impact story. And so that's what I would encourage you to do as a third pillar, is share your story. And when you share your impact story, it's not about, oh, look at us, aren't we great? I feel like a lot of people and a lot of businesses in particular will often say, oh, I just do this, but I don't want everyone to know. And I'd love to flip that on its head amongst businesses in Australia and say, no, in pro purpose, we call it stand and shine. This is your act of standing up in the marketplace, saying this is what it is to be intentional, to be a business that's for purpose. And I'm going to shine that story of goodness, not yell it from the rooftops like megaphone, look at me, but that beautiful shine where it's like not making it about yourself, but shining on the issue, shining on the impact, for the core reason of inspiring other businesses to do the same. And that's how you create a revolution of generosity amongst Australian businesses. And finally, just joining community, joining other businesses that believe in the same thing, joining the community with the charity partners that you choose. And you've seen photos at the beginning of this of the beautiful community that's forming with Pro Purpose and Opportunity, and it's just amazing because you can connect and you can celebrate the impact that you're having together. And so finally, here's just some examples of some amazing businesses. You saw some of them on the video we just watched. And this is our Pro Purpose and Opportunity Partnership, Joyful Finance, in the finance space, Grange Solutions, here's in like asset maintenance. You've got Sell on Purpose. These are all different businesses that have built pledges, and we're tracking their impact live. And so each month they're saying, oh, wow, look at where we're up to. And it's just phenomenal. And they get excited. They get excited when they get the impact trackers and go, wow, look where we're up to. And those 37 startup loans that Joyful Finance is up to, the 27 for Grange, the 18, they represent families that transformation is happening. And so when you bring it back to the one, sometimes you can get lost in the numbers, but bring it back to the one, you go, that is 37 families. And we know that ripple effect and the generations that change from that. And so finally, Nicole talked about Pro Purpose and how we partner with them. We've got a bold ambition. We're on a mission to have 70,000 businesses collectively giving $1 billion by 2035, and partnering with our amazing charity partners like Opportunity to outwork this lasting change together. And so our impact's growing, and you can see here on the second line, we're up to 488 startup loans amongst all the Pro Purpose businesses that have pledged impact, amongst other projects that we have too. And it's it's absolutely wonderful to partner with Opportunity. And I just would encourage you all to just consider what your personal purpose is, and if that aligns with your organizations, and just having businesses that unleash this spirit of profit for purpose, we can really create some amazing change together. And this is what it looks like for the business community to rise up with the charity partners in partnership and can create some wonderful change together. So I hope that has helped some of you, and over to you, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Alana. How insightful. There's a couple of questions in the chat. I'll just probably take two. So thanks, Alana. On the flip side, how would a charity not-for-profit in the aid and development sector find businesses who would like to partner for purpose with them?
How would you find them?
Yeah.
Good question. I feel like
Okay, if you're a charity and you want to find the businesses. Ooh. I think what we're doing at Pro Purpose is we're sharing the stories. And so generosity inspires generosity. It's like when Opportunity came to film the story with Sal on Purpose and they were talking about it and showcasing generosity. People then go, ooh, that's cool. I want to get involved. Sell on Purpose, not only just in filming, but for instance, one of the initiatives we helped them build was their With Love campaign. People come in for a 2-week period, get their hair done, $25 from that. The business donates. The clients get to choose where they donate it to. Often Opportunity is one of them. It's beautiful. And so when you're showcasing what generosity looks like, it just inspires others to go, oh, I can do it. So that's what I would say to charity partners is share amazing stories of businesses that are doing it and others will follow.
Just another couple of ones. So how can NGOs connect with organisations that are in the pro-purpose community? I guess they can get in touch with you and you can have a chat.
Yeah, so our model is actually just for NGOs that might be in the room. Is our model is that we are what we call a profit for purpose partnership. We're in strategic partnership opportunity. We have the amount of effort, like we're responsible for all the governance. So the amount of like Opportunity, to be honest, was one of the most stringent processes we went through. We looked at many different NGOs for startup loans, and Opportunity is who we chose. And so we're about creating lasting impact in partnership. So Pro Purpose will never be an organization that has a million charities. We'd rather create lasting change with a few. And so in this season, we're not looking for new charity partners for our business to connect to. There's a lot of work to be done with our 6 that we already have. But in time, as you can see, $1 billion, in time, we'll be going, okay, let's now add some more charity partners to the mix because our model is one where we never want more than 20% of a charity partner's revenue coming from the pro-purpose community.
We'll come back to, there's a couple more in the chat, but we'll try and come back to those questions if we have time later. I just want to throw to Thea from Joyful Finance, an incredible partner of Pro Purpose and Opportunity. Thea, can I ask you, what is the purpose of your inspiring business?
Yeah, so hi everybody. Thanks for allowing me to be here, Alana. So good. So with Joyful Finance, I started an accounting business because one, I'm good at accounting and I actually enjoy helping people. And when we give back to people, that's what really makes me happy. So we started Joyful Finance to do that. Not only that, but I wanted freedom and choice for my family. And so when we were, working with Pro Purpose to uncover what our charitable giving was, I really connected with what Opportunity was doing because, in third world countries, I'm in Australia, so I have a lot of support from family, from my husband, but these women, that Opportunity supports, they're often in disadvantaged areas and places. They don't have access to banking, but they have these dreams and they want to give back to their family, and so us giving so our charitable purpose was, okay, let's give to Opportunity International so that we can help create change and empower these women to reach for their dreams and to outwork change in their community and in their families. So yeah, that's
I love that. And I love that we're running out of time, unfortunately. There's some fantastic questions in the chat too. But I'll just say, I loved hearing about how you like working with Opportunity as well, and it's the recycling of the loans, isn't it, and the businesses. Some people might not always put, and I don't think I'm alone in thinking this, joy and finance together. I mean, obviously that wouldn't be me, of course, but you have. And why is purpose so vital to you? And can't we just crunch the numbers and get on with business?
Yeah, so I think that with finance, often it's very analytical, but everybody deals with finance, you know. And when you put intentionality into finance, whether that be through giving, you know, or whether that be through, okay, what's my intention of my budget, this week or this year? Like, what am I going to do with it? Like, you're putting a purpose on those finances, right? But not only that, like, why there's joy in finances, like sometimes not everybody, you know, finds joy in their circumstances because they're often going through some challenge or something like that. You know, joy isn't necessarily happy all the time. But what we wanted to integrate into our business is, you know, as long as you have like a joyful experience with us, whether that be through kindness, you know, in us helping you through a difficult time, in us explaining to you why you have to owe the tax office money, you know, helping businesses come up with strategies to hopefully get out of the red that they're in, you know. That's where when you're helping somebody, that's where the joy is. So, you know, and helping others, that gives us fulfillment. Like that gives me deep fulfillment. And when I have deep fulfillment, it means that, you know, when I'm waking up one day and I don't feel like doing it, and you know, it reminds me that, you know, I'm doing it for my kids, I'm doing it for the women in Indonesia, and I'm doing it for the clients who are needing help today. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So inspiring. And I love that. I think you might have introduced Pro Purpose to Opportunity. So I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of our wonderful executive team. So thank you. You really inspire us. The questions in the chat that are there are probably too much to go into tonight, but I was just wondering if you would bear with us, and we'll try and email back some answers and maybe just ask Alana about those, because I really don't want anyone to miss out on any tips and tricks. But, you know, so inspiring to hear everyone speak about, you know, Alana, for you to speak about passion and purpose and how they go together and why it matters. It's amazing. Just quickly, in case you don't know, Opportunity International is ending poverty in developing countries, and by providing small loans and other support services to millions of women, we help them grow their businesses and generate sustainable income so that they can lift themselves out of poverty with dignity. So someone asked about what's the difference between a handout and a hand up. We have a very recycling model. So when loans and this work's done, it recycles, and that money goes to another woman, and it's very holistic in its approach, as developed by our founder, David Basso, who was also a big proponent of the economics of enough and all that Alana's been talking about tonight. So have a really unique entrepreneurial model. Without going on too much, this Giving Tuesday, I love the theme. I said earlier, radical generosity. We're aiming to help raise 25,000 to train 16 new health leaders, 12,000 women with health education. Help if you can. We would really love, just even if you can't, we would just love you to continue to be part of our beautiful community, because we think we've got some amazing people. And I think Alana and Thea can also attest to that, as can many of the staff members at Opportunity. So please continue to join us for the Transform Her events. The next one will be in February, and just so deeply appreciative of your time tonight, sending purpose, love and compassion to each and every one of you this Christmas and holiday season. Thanks so much for joining. Bye for now.
Thank you.